Kate, you're returning to this world for a sequel. The first one you've done. What was it that excited you about coming back for a second time?
I was excited to come back because I love the story. I love the scripts. They're extremely well written. But for me, just personally, not being pregnant, I couldn't wait to play Janine with a clear head, feeling physically stronger than I had done shooting Divergent, and getting to be even nastier, even more evil. You know, it just makes my job so much more fun.
Well, what could you do not being pregnant that you couldn't do in the first time?
Well, to be honest, remember my lines. I mean, I'm not kidding. You know, in the first one, pregnancy for me, I just sort of go really foggy in the brain. And so I just didn't feel quite as with it. You know, to really summon up the energy to give a performance and to make Janine as believable as I wanted for her to be and as evil as I wanted her to be. And so just to have that clarity back post-pregnancy and shooting Insurgent was just, that really was the biggest thrill for me.
When Kate enters this, it's amazing to me that the amount of films that she's been on is unprecedented, right? And every single time she walks into the film set, she goes, oh, it's a microphone. Oh my God, it's a light. Oh my God, it's amazing, it's amazing. And she just has this quality about her that is so contagious.
Shailene, we see you in the second installment of this successful series. Can you remember what it was like being on the other side, you know, when you were starting out Divergent? Do you remember being apprehensive about going into this? And how do you feel now? More confident playing her?
I was apprehensive going into this simply because it was a 4-year commitment, and that's, you know, it's a long time. But I ultimately really do love Triss, and I think that she is inspirational, and I think that she has a lot to work on, but she, at the end of the day, has a heart that can balance strength and bravery with selfless compassion.
When you do the first film, on one hand you do have the pressure because you want it to succeed, but then in another way you have nothing to lose, really, because, you know, so in a similar way when you're coming to the second movie, there's less pressure because you feel like you've kind of achieved something in the first, but because it's the second movie, you have something to lose. So yeah, it's a kind of double-edged sword.
And returning to a cast full of people that you're familiar with now, how does that help you?
Sometimes you kind of have to kind of slap yourself so you don't get lazy, if you know what I mean, because sometimes if it's very familiar, then it can be too easy. But it's good, you know, and luckily we've got everyone in it are really good actors as well, so it means that you can make good, you know, not only is it an action film, but you can hopefully create really good dramatic scenes too.
You've been in films that have stemmed from really successful books. What do you think makes a good story on screen?
I think it's about finding the balance between honoring the book, but also, like in this movie, this is a little bit different than the book, but in a good way. I mean, this is a great movie, and I think it's better than the first one, and sometimes you have to find that balance between what will work on screen and what won't. I think Fault in Our Stars, you know, we made changes in that too. A lot of scenes were cut, but at the same time, then some really important moments were kept. And it's about finding the balance. Talking
about balance, I mean, how do you balance your acting with your DJing and as you're getting more and more well-known?
Last night, I worked on a new track from 4 to 1 a.m., just nonstop. I never stop. I love working, I love being artistic, and, you know, even though I had interviews all day, just always make music, always, even when I'm on set. So I find time for doing what I love to do.
And one influences the other, I imagine.
Absolutely. I think when I'm working on set, acting, it's actually when I'm making the most music because I'm feeling so creative and I'm just feeling inspired.
What makes you say yes to a franchise like this? Because you know you have to sign on for a bit, in a way.
Well, you say yes because you hope to be a part of a franchise that's amazing. You hope that you love the material and you know that there is something for you to contribute. And I am a fan of the Divergent series. I think that Veronica has done an amazing job, and watching Shailene and Theo and all the other cast members breathe lives into these characters has been wonderful.
What is it that you like about it so much?
What speaks to me is how complex the narrative is and how thought-provoking it is. But then at the same time, there is good, you know, the good versus evil, and where do you fit in the world? And I think it's interesting that a young woman wrote this. I think she was between 15 and 18 when she wrote the first Divergent. What a very interesting narrative.
Veronica, what an amazing story when I think about how you wrote this story, it became a success, and now here we have the movies. I mean, can you remember what it was like when you were actually working on it and the kind of concerns that were going through your mind? Did you ever wonder that this would happen?
Oh, no. I mean, I think from a very young age, my real dream in life was to get a book published. So once that happened, it was, I mean, that's like pretty amazing, but I'd never thought about movies. That wasn't something that really occurred to me. So that it has happened is pretty surreal.
So you don't think, okay, I think Kate Winslet should play this role or
No.
something? You know?
That would be crazy, right? Like really delusional.
Well, you know, look what happens. I mean,
Right.
you couldn't have asked for almost a better cast of some of the
No.
youngest talent, greatest talent, you know, young and more established. When you see your words come on screen to life, what is that like? Do you have to let go a little bit, or are you easy with doing that?
I think you get good practice with doing that the second the book hits the shelves, because then it's not really yours, it belongs to everyone who reads it, and they all have different interpretations, which you can tell, you know, whenever they cast someone, there's some people who are like, that's perfect, and some people are like, that's not how I saw that person. And so just the variety of interpretations is so broad. But so I was kind of used to letting go, but I also think there's a certain freedom in doing that because you get to see a new interpretation of your work.
Has it surprised you the way fans have reacted? They come up with names like Fortress and things like that.
That is funny. Yeah. No, I'm so happy that they're emotionally invested. I mean, that's really the most you can ask for, is that the story matters to people and that they care about it. So it's great.